I'm going to have John Campbell of Oxford University Press come on up. All right, so we are going to tell you a little story today, the Silverchair and Oxford University Press story, and we're taking a nod to our British origins and going to give you a play in 5 acts, if we can make it happen. Yeah, here we go. So we're going to tell you a little story, and good news, that's the extent of the dramatics, hopefully. And we probably have had one too few dress rehearsals, so also bear with us if anything goes horribly wrong.
These terrible costumes, it's just...
Yeah, you know, we have other jobs. All right, so Act 1, prologue. Why OUP chose Silverchair? John?
Okay, so this will be a bit of a tag team between Basha and me as we go through. And yes, a bit of a shade of the dramatic from Silverchair with this structure. But it was obviously quite a big thing for Silverchair and OUP over the last 2.5 years. And we thought we'd give a quick snapshot of some of the adventure that we enjoyed. So I think we all know many of the pros of Silverchair. We wouldn't be in this room if we didn't. And there are some very obvious areas in which they excel. We and they met on a point in our journeys that made a lot of sense. Platform consolidation for OUP. We've been with Highwire for a very long time. A good relationship with them, but extracting sort of 20 years worth of history is a big thing to do. Silverchair has very strong technology stack and investment. You've heard a lot from Stuart earlier and more later. And that was a very compelling reason for us. If we were making some of those choices ourselves, then we would have made many of the same ones. Interesting sort of around that timing point, around size, Silverchair is at a point in its growth that was very appealing in terms of where a joint partnership could go, the types of areas in which we could be concentrating, a good fit. And also around the teams and the expertise within those teams. OUP has a lot of strength in depth around market research and innovation and data and technology. Silverchair has many complementary and overlapping areas, but for the most part, the fit was a remarkably good one.
All right.
But then it was handing over, a very big task to Silverchair as...
Yeah, so Act 2, our hopefully not so tragic flaws. So what Silverchair was missing 2 years ago when we really dove into this engagement with OUP. Tools and processes to support the volume of content and the variety of sites that OUP was bringing with us. So OUP has over 400 journals and sites, which was for us the largest volume by a long shot of content for a single client at any given time. And with that, the new level of system infrastructure and storage and capacity requirements that go along with that volume of content and the tools needed to support the day-to-day operations for teams supporting those publications was a pretty sizable leap for Silverchair. Also, experience and maturity with aggregators and their unique needs. So OUP was our first university press client, and it also acts in some ways as an aggregator. And so learning what that means, what the new drivers are that sort of a operation introduces into the picture was new for us. And also coming to grips with the higher level of independence required to manage day-to-day operations in self-service tools needed. Large-scale program management structure and not just product management. So for Silverchair, this was new and really required optimizing our levels of governance, both as it relates to with shared governance with our clients via things like a joint steering committee or trustees, but also internally within Silverchair. This ultimately bred our platform steering committee and more robust agile processes for governance. And there was a third one, but it's escaping me. And expansive discovery and archiving support. So although Silverchair had those, the new volume of content that OUP brought to the table and the new subject areas meant that we had to do some pretty heavy expansion in our discovery and archiving support tools. So, Act 3. climax, how far we've come together, or the result. John?
So this is kind of the first, the first of the where we've come together. This is an area where we've done the initial transition of extremely large number of journals, and essentially what we've been embedding is an architecture from which we expect to grow considerably, but also to be looking into the future to our non-journal content, to the non-article content, the research data, and all the other various needs of our almost 3/4 balance of societies to homegrown journals. So obviously, after 20-year being elsewhere, the jump in the architecture and the mobile responsiveness and the user interfaces and the research going into that was night and day, as you'd expect. Particularly the type of resources and customization we could offer to our prominent society partners without really diluting the benefits of having a common architecture. So allowable customization versus uncontrolled development. A big opportunity for OUP to be cleaning house and readying ourselves for the future around unified access, member services, authentication, my account, preferences, alerting, a real sea change for us. Silverchair have a track record in having invested particularly in medical semantic enrichment. We obviously use the current out-of-the-box treatment with some additions and look forward to more of that as we go forward. Product creation, Jake talked a bit about this earlier, and Thane around how a large pool of content in a repository can be leveraged in many and innovative ways. And the platform is something that will be allowing us across our very varied content portfolio to be doing a lot more of that. Standards is very critical for us and for everybody in this room in terms of what we can say we are adhering with, what we can be keeping ahead of. The work that we've done with Silverchair in scaling up their architecture to meet the needs of OUP, but also their future clients, has been a significant piece of work and really bearing fruit in terms of the confidence we get from our partners. And data, digging everything out of the various holes in which it sat for a very long time has been was tough, but in terms of setting ourselves up for particularly the needs of text and data mining, leveraging services around that kind of capability, the semantic enrichment and skills we have within OUP to be marrying content, an essential exercise we had to do. It was very hard doing it in a year, but the results have been are there for all to see. And we have a bit of a before and after, which is slightly unfair to Highwire because time moves on, but the result is very strong.
Yeah, so we've also have a new suite of site support tools and expanded existing ones. So you see a screenshot there of Site Builder. OUP is actively and daily and very rapidly setting up new sites, configuring them, making them pretty and launching them all on their own via this portal without any sort of intervention or support from Silverchair. Other such back-end tools as Product Builder and the Zipline Content Loader being used by OUP's team and vendors on their behalf are supporting an ongoing business as usual. And there are also, as you've heard Stuart and Jake already talk about, so I'm thankfully not getting into any details, but platform-wide upgrades to security and accessibility and far more robust standards adherence. Major upgrades in discoverability and search engine optimization, including expanded services in our downstream deposit tools, new downstream partners, far more robust Google Scholar partnership, which bred a new XML indexing solution, and a cloud-based content archiving solution that's accessible by our clients, and upgrades to speed and scalability of the core platform. And if you have any questions about that, please see Stuart. Not me. So we're nearing the end. Act 4 is the denouement. The next generation of sites for Oxford and the Narnia platform roadmap. So we colloquially refer to the OUP client as Narnia. John? You want to take the clicker?
Yeah, I was wondering how that was magically following my every thought.
I'm not doing a good job of it, so I'm happy to relinquish it to you.
Is it the big green one or the small green
this
one? So Next steps are kind of some of the most exciting, having got through the difficult challenge of moving a mountain in a short amount of time. It's really the prospects of where we can go from here. The journal portfolio grows significantly each year. We add tens of new society partners each year, and the capabilities that we can provide them are increasing all the time. We've got you will have been seeing from the really great sort of platform communications that Jake went through before, where Silverchair have enhanced how they talk about the way in which the platform is moving. There are many things within there that have been the result of our joint endeavour over the last period, and we've been adding new items, and we'll continue to do so and feed those back into the core platform where possible. And for our clients, we've been making some quite significant changes. We still have some areas, and I just put a few down here, where we're going to be really working hard with Silverchair and their other partners to be constantly improving, growing, expanding capability. Bash has mentioned how we have extremely large teams back at base who are making sort of self-serve use of what were previously in-house or proprietary Silverchair tools and systems. And it's an interleaved process, but we have to have that strong focus on automation, that strong focus on scaling, the ability to be making sizable amounts of content free for whatever purpose that might be. Just reducing the levels of friction there helps both sides. Downstream partners, we'll be hearing more later about Universe and the various partners, some of which are here today. And I think that's an area where we are keen to strike that balance between the benefits of platform, but also keen to identify where there are areas that can be distinctly advantageous to be either driving a particular sort of local drive into that area or some other approach. Semantics, I mentioned, Silverchair's sort of core strength was grown out of medical. Obviously, Oxford brings not just STM, but brings a lot of humanities, social science content, as you saw before, and that brings in many more challenges and many more data sources for expanding relationships between content across really quite disparate data sets and databases, into biography, into all sorts of other areas. There's a lot of opportunity there. We see a need to constantly be pushing geographic capabilities from the platform. Barsha mentioned about SEO and the 800-pound gorilla that we deal with every day. But for example, the China market, we have significant targets for that area, and there are distinct needs there, and partners as well. And then non-journal content, we integrate with a number of, obviously with the core repositories in our market, but we as OUP receive a lot of content that's not traditional content types or structures, and there's a lot of benefit to being able to handle these non-native standards and to be allowing access and mining to those separately. So, conclusion. And I think this is as much the pitch to our friends and partners in this room, where we're using the same platform and technologies, and we're working with Silverchair, who are a very open and innovative company, and we want and need the platform to be a success, to be growing, to have leading edge features where it needs to, but also being open to where that leading edge feature exists elsewhere. OUP has a large sort of strategic and research area, and we have a good grasp of where the market is going and how we should be shaping that, and that's something that we routinely share with Silverchair. Some items are proprietary, of course, but where we can, the whole intention is that this is open, and similarly from Silverchair to us, when they have something getting further down the chain for them and starting to get into their declared roadmap. The earlier we can achieve that, then we expect the market to grow the platform to grow to common advantage. And I would just extol everybody here to be doing the same where we can. I think particularly given the speed that everything is changing, I think there's increasing benefits to scale as befits the theme of today.